A small, heavy bludgeon is often an underrated tool for personal protection, but I really love these little weapons. The one I'm using here is a tire checker that truckers often use to bang their tires and listen to hear if they're fully inflated or not. These are also excellent improvised weapons. These items can hit hard because usually they are either made of solid hardwood and often have a aluminum or iron end on them, or like this one, they are little aluminum bats. These make absolutely ferocious weapons, but like any weapon, you should train with it. You shouldn't just depend on the weapon to do your work for you. You need to understand how to use it. There is more to swinging a stick than just swinging a stick. There is understanding distance, timing, and movement. Also, with a weapon like this, you might have to counter other weapons such as edged weapons or even train to fight multiple opponents. I have to state the obvious because some people don't know this, or they will call me out on it because they're too dumb to understand that most people with reasonable intelligence understand this. You must use reasonable force when it comes to self-defense. So you need to understand that the reasonable use of a weapon is extremely rare. But I don't train to fight people. In fact, I don't train to get into fights. Fights are for idiots. Fights over slights, insults, spilled drinks, whatever, are for basically human children who never managed to grow up and understand how to control themselves. I don't train people for this. I don't want to be involved with this. I don't do this. What I train for is personal protection. And when it comes to personal protection, I will use whatever advantage I can find to overcome someone and get to safety. My goal is getting to safety. So now that I've said that, it has to be reasonable force, reasonable to the situation at hand. Let's get on to talking about using a weapon like this. You need to train to hit hard. Now, your primary target is the head in a lethal force situation, such as multiple opponents or against somebody with a weapon. In those cases, I want to shut down the computer controlling the person and put them out of commission as soon as possible. So the head is my primary target. Secondary targets are things I can break, such as the hands, the wrist, the jaw, the collarbone, the nose, if I'm accurate enough. And tertiary targets are things like the groin and the solar plex. Hitting someone hard in the kneecaps is a great secondary target. In fact, it's one of the best secondary targets because if I can split the kneecap, I can possibly nullify my adversary's ability to get to me if I can take his base and his movement away. Also, someone who is really good at guarding up high may leave lower targets available. One thing you need to understand when it comes to using blunt impact weapons like this is that blunt impact weapons are the easiest weapons to disarm. So if you are gonna use something like this as a tool for personal protection, you need to know how to keep it in your hands when other people are trying to get it out of your hands. Weapons retention training is a must for training with weapons like this. Also, if you saw earlier where I clinched and drew another weapon and used that on my training dummy, understand that this is another very important skill to have with any kind of weapon, having backups and secondary weapons. And also when it comes to retaining your weapon, that secondary weapon, in which this case it was a knife, may be the tool that allows you to keep your weapon from becoming your adversary's weapon. And never forget, your most important attribute for personal protection is adaptability.